moving on to our final storyteller. Very excited to bring him back to the show. Yes, one returning champion. He's an engineer by trade. He will talk your ear off about coffee, and he says he sometimes tells stories. He also sometimes wins Moth Story Slams. We're really excited to have him back on the show. Please welcome Harjas Singh.
Give it up for Will and everyone who helps put the show together. Thank you so much. So there's this reality TV show that I used to watch with my younger brother when I was growing up in India. And it had a more profound impact on the both of us than I care to admit now. The show was called MTV Roadies. The best way that I can describe the show is a cross between Survivor, a B-grade found footage road trip movie, interspersed with talking heads. And this show had contestants mostly in their early 20s, and they would road trip across the country on motorbikes, competing in tasks and challenges, adventure sports for a modest sum of money. But it wasn't the sum of money that was the real prize. The real prize was the transformational journey that this show promised. Push yourself to the limit. Impossible is nothing, and this could manifest in all sorts of forms, whether it's whitewater rafting in the Himalayas or eating silkworms on a dare. But for the 15-year-old, school-going, straight-edge teenager in me, this was the epitome of cool. You know how parents ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And on their face, I used to say engineer, but in my heart, I used to say roadie. In season 5 of the show, Roadies pulled a big one. They said they were going to go international. Thailand. Adventures in Thailand included parasailing, banana boat rides, and scuba diving. And I would watch the show in awe, thinking, when am I going to have my transformational journey? So imagine my surprise when a year later my dad tells us that we would be vacationing for a week in Thailand. Really, Dad? Thailand, you say? Are we going to the beach? Yes. Can we do adventure sports? Yes. Parasailing, scuba diving, banana boat rides? Yes, yes, yes. And all I could think of in my heart was, I'm going to be a roadie. So me, my dad, my mom, and my younger brother, 11 years old, we set out for the white sandy beaches of Pattaya. And we did everything as promised. We did the parasailing 100 feet above the ocean. We did banana boat rides, but the scuba diving was not necessarily as advertised. See, for scuba, you need training and certification, 2 things we didn't have. What we would be doing was a sea walk, which is a scuba dive, but with training wheels. I'll explain. So the next morning, we take a speedboat from shore to about 500 meters into the ocean. That's about 7 New York City blocks, for those who don't do metric. And what was essentially a diving rig in the middle of the ocean. Once we get there, our sea walk instructor tells us what to expect. We would be putting on these 70-pound heavy helmets on our head, and these would be connected with the diving rig the whole time and would have a constant supply of oxygen so we could breathe underwater. And the weight of the helmets is what was going to keep us on the ocean floor 30 feet below, so we could actually walk in the sea walk. For obvious reasons, it's difficult to communicate underwater, so our instructor gave us signs to communicate. Thumbs up, thumbs down, all good. Up, down, all good. So I could not wait to brag to my friends about this experience when I was going to go back home. And for the main event, what we were supposed to do was, on the edge of the diving rig was a ladder, and you kind of start to go down the ladder until you're submerged up to your neck in water, and then the instructor would throw the helmet down on you, let go of the ladder, and the weight just takes you all the way down. So my mom was going to go first, then me, then my dad, and then finally my younger brother. So when I was submerged up to my neck, the instructor put the helmet on my head. I let go. The weight was massive. My eyes closed. The air pressure in my ears went high because of the water. I closed my eyes. When I opened my eyes, it felt like I was transported to a different world. the sea water shimmering yellow, green, and blue, schools of fishes just swimming by, touching my body, as if they didn't care that I was there, and I felt like I was part of the ocean. And I thought, this is what it must have felt like in Finding Nemo. When I made it all the way down to the ocean floor, I looked up, I saw my mom, I saw my dad, didn't see my brother. My mom looked up at me, saw my dad, didn't see my brother. We all had the same thought. He didn't make it down. Our tour guide, the person who was going to actually take us on the sea walk, completely unaware that a person was missing, has started the tour. But we are panicking, and because we can't communicate with each other, we're just left to hypothesize what happened. Did the oxygen fail? Is he okay? Did he drown? We just didn't know. My mom was trying to communicate with the instructor, afraid that she lost her son in an unknown country. And the guide in the meantime has picked up a starfish and sea anemone, and he's showing it to us, and he's saying, "Oh, doesn't it look beautiful?" And my mom says, "No, we need to go up. We need to go up." And then the instructor is like, "Oh, this is just a tourist who's confusing the thumbs up sign and the all good sign." And he sees this happen all the time, so he just ignores it, and he thinks that my mom is saying how beautiful the starfish is, but my mom is saying, "Fuck that, we need to go up, we need to go up." But this guy didn't care, and we couldn't do anything, we couldn't communicate, so we just resigned ourselves to spending 20 minutes under the water, just hoping that my brother was okay up there. After 20 agonizing minutes, when we finally made it back up on the diving rig, we saw my brother was in the corner just sitting there. He was fine. He was fine. But having left him there made me feel like we had left him behind. Roadies is still going on to this day. There are 19 seasons in. My brother actually still watches the show diligently. But what I realized that day was, as many adventures as these people go on, I was indexing on the wrong thing. When I went down into the water that day, I went down for myself. But when I came back up with more love in my heart for my brother than I knew was possible. The adventures are great, but they're meaningless if they're not shared with the people that you love. Me and my brother, we've gone on many adventures since then. We've hiked, biked, road tripped across the country. And for me, the thing that I remember now is that he always comes first. He never gets left behind. And that is what makes everything between us all good. Thank you.